Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
Brewers. It's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think. Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Is this where we're supposed to come in?
Yes, cretin.
Cretins.
You cretin.
How you doing?
All right. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. It's been a long and winding road for the last month and a half.
A long and winding road. Dun, 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 dun.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
That long, yes.
Where's your road been winding?
Oh, well, all through South America a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And Indianapolis with our good friend John.
Mm-hmm.
And where was I before that? Nebraska, GABF, various places in between, yeah.
Yeah.
Next week I head out to New York.
I calculated that I had been on the road 15 weeks this year.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, 15 weeks. Jesus. I'm just so tired. I just want to be home.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoy the trips. I enjoy visiting. Had a great time in Korea and Japan just recently. And ate some interesting things.
Doing a little bit of the old bizarre foods out there?
Yeah. You know, when you see like the things that are wriggling and crawling that they pulled out of the sea, and they've rinsed them off and chopped them up, and then there it is, and there you go. I ate some of that.
Nice.
Some little octopus, some abalone, some sea squirt, some hagfish.
Really? Wow.
You pour some soy sauce on it and watch it move again?
Right. Oh, no, it's flipping out the whole time. Are you familiar with the hagfish?
I'm not.
It's kind of like an eel's dirtier, skinnier cousin.
Oh. Yeah, I've seen it on National Geographic, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of an earthy kind of character to it. And then some raw horse. Horse. Raw
horse.
Not like seared or anything. Just raw.
Just a raw
completely
horse.
Raw.
Just like, here we go.
Right.
We just cut this up in the back.
Yeah, whack a piece off the horse, and there you go.
Yippee-ki-yay, huh?
Well, how was that?
That was
tough.
Yeah, you know, and the thing is, you know, people are, you know, providing this as a very generous, kind, you know, special treat that, you know, they're trying to, you know, which I appreciate. I really do. But as the guest, you must eat first. Everyone else is sitting there waiting for
watching you, right?
Yeah, they're all waiting. They're not going to eat first. They're going to sit there and wait. And, you know, here it is. And they all want to dig in. And, you know, if you don't, it's kind of like, well, so there you go. A little bit of a raw horse. I mean, I tend not to eat any hoofed animal raw. That's just not my way of going. I'm not like into the raw beef or raw camel or anything, right? And so, yeah, the raw horse, yeah. No, it was fine. It was fine. But getting home, I was just like, I don't want to eat anything other than, you know, as American as it can possibly be.
Yeah.
It was good. It was just a little challenging, you know.
Uh-huh.
So a couple of weeks of that is enough. Some of the things I really like, you know, some of the ramens and things.
Mm-hmm. About the most exotic thing I ate recently was chicken heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
cooked or raw? Still
cooked,
beating?
Barbecued, in fact. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love a good heart. I ate the turkey heart at Thanksgiving.
Oh.
I eat all the organs. I had the heart, the gizzard, the neck, liver. I ate all that, but it was all cooked.
Yep.
See, that chicken heart, if it was still beating on the plate, that's when it gets different. Huh? That's when it gets a little more challenging. Yeah.
No, they skewer them, like hundreds of them, and barbecue them in southern Brazil, where I was recently at.
Well, then
very tasty.
We had those at the Brazilian steakhouse thing in Denver that year.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know, and I was like slamming them down. Mm-hmm. I like a good heart. You know, that's tasty. Yeah. That's some tasty stuff right there. The heart.
Yeah.
Speaking of tasty stuff.
And good hearts.
Yeah. Our good friend John Blickman at Blickman Engineering. It's got all that tasty equipment, all that new stuff that they're doing, all the cool, innovative stuff, innovating your brew day. Yeah. And he's got a good heart as well. He's a super nice guy. And he's been paying for the show, so you don't have to for, these many years. And it would be nice if you sent him an email saying thank you for sponsoring the show. You can send him an email at feedback@blickmanengineering.com and tell him how much you appreciate that John pays for the show, so you don't have to. Let's see here. Today, John and I were responding to some emails about some brewery questions, commercial brewery questions. And I guess I got a little bit pissy in the email, in my response, going like, Jesus, if you're not doing this, then you shouldn't be running a commercial brewery. And it got me thinking, you know, I go around, I see a lot of breweries, and I see that they're not doing some of the basics that you should be doing if you're doing a commercial brewery. You should just step up and do these basic things that aren't very expensive. It's just kind of like, I'll just keep homebrewing, and I'll sell the beer anyways. You know, homebrewing's great, but, you know, when you're homebrewing, the risks are minimal, and you're just having fun. But when you're commercial brewing, I think you owe it to your customers to step up a little bit and do some, basic things.
You owe it to yourself, too.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you care about your brand at all and the effort you're putting into it, well, then, there's some fundamental things that you could do that will ensure a much better product than if you just kind of wing it blindly. So John and I were talking about that. We came up with a list of the 10 basic things every commercial brewery should do. I think that's a pretty interesting list.
It's a pretty BuzzFeed worthy, yeah. See, the 10 things that you definitely should do if you own a program.
This will resonate with the millennial hipsters.
Yeah, people love it.
So Steve says. All right, well, let's do this. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll get right into the top 10 things that you should be doing right after this.
Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on 2 gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Brew Easy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller, and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Brew Easy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Brew Easy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Brew Easy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Brew Easy. Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
Hey guys, what'll it be?
I'm not sure. What do you recommend?
A lot of people seem to like the Hefeweizen.
Is that a German Hefeweizen or more of an American-style wheat beer?
I'm not sure, but I can give you a taste.
Okay, great.
The Cicerone Certification Program certifies and educates beer professionals in order to elevate the beer experience for consumers. Unfortunately, not every bar is staffed with certified beer servers who can guide their customers through a beer list.
Here you go, guys. Let me know what you think of the Hefeweizen.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely more of an American meat. But I can hardly tell because this beer just smells like sour butter. I wonder how long it's been since they cleaned the draft line.
Yeah, and look at the bubbles on the side of the glass. It's filthy.
Somebody should tell these guys about the Cicerone program.
For sure. How about we head somewhere else for another beer?
Your server should give beer the same respect you do. Request quality. The Cicerone Certification Program offers 4 levels of beer certification, in-person classes, and course books for beer professionals. Check them out at cicerone.org. The Cicerone Certification Program. We know beer.
Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients and the best customer service in the business. Check out their brand new patent-pending mash and boil 110-volt electric mashing and boiling unit. This compact all-stainless unit lets you mash, sparge, and boil just about anywhere that has a 110-volt plug. Double-wall construction adds to efficiency and safety, and a precise thermostat keeps temperatures where you want them. Unlike insulated buckets and converted coolers, multiple temperature rest mashing is easy to do, all for under $300. They also feature the Mark II work pump, a magnetic drive high-temperature pump that does the work of pumps that cost twice as much, as well as exclusive Brewer's Edge regulators and quality Keg King kegs and disconnects. Check them out today at williamsbrewing.com to brews their vast selection.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star Sand, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew strong.
All right, we're back. We're going over the 10 basic things every commercial brewery should be doing.
Right.
All right, John, you want to start us off with the first one?
Sure. The first one is one of my favorites, one of my go-tos, and that is temperature-controlled fermenters.
Mm-hmm.
Temperature control. I mean, you're going to see lots of people say, oh, it's not that important, or, hey, the Brewlosophy guys have found it to be significant. Well, it is.
Right.
It is just bottom line, it is. If you have, good practices all around, then, yeah, maybe you can get lucky with temperature control. But in terms of top-down ensuring a good brew, temperature control of your fermentation is key.
Well, and this is one of the things that we've always said for homebrewers, too. And it was one of the things that really radically changed my homebrew was shifting over to temperature-controlled fermentation. And I've been to a few breweries and seen where they've got like plastic conical tanks that they're using for their brewing, and they don't have them temperature controlled at all. Or they'll put them in a room that's got an air conditioner on it, and they're just generally controlling the room temperature. You got to do a little bit more than that. I mean, you got to do everything to control that fermentation temperature properly. So if you're planning on a brewery, absolutely, I think John, you're absolutely right with that one.
Yeah.
It's
especially when it comes to consistency, batch to batch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't have temperature control, maybe it'll still be a good beer.
Mm-hmm.
No flaws, but it's going to be subtly different batch to batch if you can't lock down fermentation temperature control.
Well, it can be tremendously different if you're getting less attenuation or more attenuation or completely different ester profile.
Exactly. Yeah.
Definitely one of the top things, I think. All right. Well, here I got one for you. If you're going to use dry yeast, you got to rehydrate the yeast. I see this more often than not, I think. And I guess it's coming from when people were homebrewing, the dry yeast companies are saying, don't rehydrate, just sprinkle it on top.
Right.
Yet when you look at the commercial information for the dry yeast companies, they tell the commercial users to rehydrate first. And so I think, people that are homebrewing, they just want to stick with the sprinkle it on method. And, you're going to get half that yeast is going to be dead. And
or
then
low viability,
and
low vitality.
It's going to start breaking down in your beer, and it's something you can taste, especially in a lighter flavored beer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's relatively simple to rehydrate. All you need is a bucket, some warm water, and 15 minutes of time.
Yeah.
Now, I understand. I was talking with a friend about that, and his concern was like, how do I get it into the fermenter? And I'm like, you need a corny keg or something that you can pressurize and shoot it in, or just pour it in through the top, whatever. So he was working on changing things up to do that. But I can't stress enough how important it is. And at the least, you're getting more viable yeast. You're going to get a stronger ferment. You're getting more yeast for your money.
Yeah.
Why throw away half of your yeast?
Exactly. I was just down in Brazil, and a brewery that I did a collaboration brew with, they took a couple of the large kilogram bricks, but they rehydrated. They put it in a smaller Sankey type keg, and rehydrated, and then pulled it into the fermenter, and it worked really well.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to get real particular about it, that's essentially all you need is water at the correct temperature and a container, and then if you can pressurize it like a keg, you can just push it over with CO2 or oxygen when it's time to mix it in with your wort. And Works really well. You don't have to stir it, anything like that. If you're interested in taking it a little bit further, there's these rehydration assisting compounds that they have. What are they called? Was it Go Firm or?
I'm not familiar with those.
Yeah, so a lot of the winemakers use it. The distillers will use it. It helps the number of viable cells when you rehydrate. So you just put a little bit of that in the water, and then sprinkle your yeast on, wait, and it's all ready to go. Because I understand the need for people to use dry yeast, and I'm not even saying you need to use liquid yeast. All I'm saying is that if you're going to use dry yeast, you have to do that one extra little step that's going to get you a little bit more better results, right?
Yeah. It really helps do away with the stressed yeast flavors that you can taste. I mean, you can honestly taste in beers that haven't been rehydrated.
Mm-hmm. Well, that and just autolyzed yeast as well.
Yeah.
Well, and all right, so did I tell you this story already? Maybe not. I don't think we've talked since I was in Korea. So I was in Korea the same time as President Trump, believe it or not, and in Seoul. And a nice gentleman from the embassy turned out to be a home brewer, and he had emailed me. He's like, hey, if you're here like after Trump leaves, come on by the embassy. And I'm like, well, I'm leaving pretty much the same day he is. And so I went kind of like the afternoon after he had just left. And so I went by the embassy and talked to a small group of people there about beer and importing beer into Korea and things like that. It's one of the things they do is try and help develop export markets for U.S. goods. And so they're very curious as to how it works and what they can do to help develop markets for beer. And so he had told me, he's like, I made a dark mild, and he says I did 3 different yeasts. He says I did the West Yorkshire yeast, which is one of my favorites. He said he did the SO4, and he did the Lallemand English ESB yeast.
Did he combine them or just separate?
Separate. So same wort, split into 3 batches, side by side with these 3 yeasts. So, and he's like, I'll bring them and you can taste them. I said, great. I said, don't tell me which yeast is which. I said, just pour them for me and see if I can tell you which is which. And so these are stories that just make me sound great, and I'm so proud of myself.
But it's well deserved.
Well, no, but I think this is the it just goes to show the difference in these things. I think sometimes people don't believe there's a difference. So he poured the 3 for me, and I just smelled them. I smelled the three cups, and I said, okay, this is West Yorkshire, this is SO4, and this is got to be the Lallemand ESB. He's like, yeah, you're right. I didn't even have to taste them. I could just smell them. And
How did that
tell
different?
what it was. Yeah. The interesting thing was the West Yorkshire, it was just a better ferment. It seemed cleaner in the right way and fruitier in the right way and, more attenuated in the right way. And the SO4 seemed kind of bready and with, an autolyzed yeast kind of thing going on. And then the Lallemand was not bad. It was better, but it seemed, again, a little bit flat. But I could just pick it up in the aroma. So that's why, I'm saying that, treating that yeast is so important. If you want to get the best out of the dry yeast, if you're going to use dry yeast, you need to rehydrate. You need to treat it right. If you're not, you're going to end up with beer where I can smell it and tell you use dry yeast. You know,
what do you think some of the aroma differences were? I mean, less ester, more sulfur.
Yeah, and I mean, you can just smell the yeastiness of it. You know, like dead yeast kind of character comes through. Mm-hmm. You can smell kind of that. You know what? If you take a pack of dry yeast and smell it, that odor comes through.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's one of the reasons I have that in the top 10.
Very good. Very good.
What would your next one be there, John?
Well, number 3, I'm gonna have to say a pH meter.
Mm-hmm.
We had an interesting email just the other day from a brewer, and they, long story short, they had switched. One of the things they had switched as they started scaling up their brewery was going to an RO system.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, we're seeing, a rise in final gravity. And while there are, many factors that could be responsible for a rise in final gravity, a lack of attenuation, in other words, I said, the RO system, if you have changed your water that drastically, and he didn't say whether they were adding any other salts or doing any other adjustments to make up for that change in water.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, check your mash pH, check your beginning of the boil pH, and look for differences there, because depending on recipe, grain bill, water. If the mash pH drops too much, you can significantly affect your beta amylase. And so that can be one reason that attenuation can change. So a good pH meter, digital pH meter, is such a effective and useful tool, especially as a commercial brewery where you're trying to repeat recipes, week to week. By doing pH measurements throughout the process, you have the data to look and see if everything's tracking, along with gravity data and et cetera. But pH data is really important for monitoring your process.
Well, and that's one of the things that I had to kind of beat into my folks was, measure the pH every step of the way. I want to know mash pH. I want to know the wort pH. I want to know, pre-boil, post-boil. I want to know in the tank. I want to know when you take a gravity reading in the fermenter. I want to know the pH of the beer every step of the way, because that also tells you a lot about fermentation.
It does.
And with that information, if something goes wrong, you'll see it in pH a lot of times before anything else is evident. That'll start going off, and you're like, whoa, something's wrong. And a pH meter is not that expensive. You can get a fairly nice handheld pH meter with a replaceable probe for
$100.
Yeah, $100, $150 for really sweet one for under $200.
Yeah.
If you're gonna open a commercial brewery, you better have allocated money for something like a pH meter.
Yeah, just simple, repeatable, useful tool.
Well, and like you're saying, you can check your water, you can check every step of the process, and being able to do that and have that data. That's one of the other things I say. Is like data is your friend, because people get complacent and they're like, oh no, everything's fine. Why am I checking this when we don't use that information? It's like, we're not using that information right now. We're going to use that information when things start to go wrong. That's our indicator, and that's, will tell us that something's gone wrong.
Right.
And, we'll know before we've gone through all the rest of the steps. If something goes horribly wrong with your mash pH, it's like, well, you could stop your brew right there and start over, versus going through and throwing in all those expensive hops and then fermenting it and tying up a tank and all that. Well, no. You have some horrible problem with the mash, just dump it at that point, and you've saved yourself a ton of money.
Exactly.
Yep.
Very good point.
Yeah. So pH meter, that's another good one, John. I'll tell you, it's also good for homebrewers. I mean, all this stuff we've been saying so far, temperature control fermenters, using the rehydrating your dry yeast, and then a pH meter. Those are all things an advanced homebrewer should be doing and have. And you can pick up a nice pH meter at Great Fermentations. I don't know if you know those guys. John, you know those guys.
Oh, yeah. Great people.
Yeah. They're out there in Indiana, and that's where you can get probably the best trained advice on Blichmann products. They're extremely knowledgeable, and they have the largest catalog of Blichmann products around. And good folks. They offer top-notch customer service, same-day shipping on many items, and I like them. I think it's a well-run place, well-stocked store. Just good people all around. And you can check them out at greatfermentations.com. You can like them on Facebook at GR8 Fermentation, and same thing on Twitter, greatfermentations.com. Check them out. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue our list of the top 10 things every commercial brewery should do right after this.
If you work in retail sales, the restaurant industry, or are a new craft beer enthusiast, or you know someone who is, you have got to check out Beer 101. Beer 101 is an online course created for anyone wanting a quick introduction to the vast world of craft beer. Beer 101 covers the history of beer, brewing ingredients and processes, vital stats like ABV, SRM, IBU, and gravity, styles, tasting, glassware, and pairing beer with food. The Beer 101 course is offered by the Brewers Association at craftbeer.com, also home to the truly awesome Beer Style Finder, a visual guide to every beer style. Quickly play with color, bitterness, and alcohol content to interactively explore the entire world of beer styles with a gorgeously designed interface to your favorite beverage. The new Beer 101 course and new Beer Style Finder are only available at craftbeer.com. Craftbeer.com, celebrating the best of American beer.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamel Zanishev, and I want to tell you about Heretic Evil Twin. You might be familiar with my homebrew recipe, which uses massive late hopping to create a balance between the malty sweet and the hoppy bitter, along with an outrageous malt and hop character. I wanted a beer with the same bold hop and malt character, so we played around with the homebrew recipe until we were able to make a great commercial version too. We've created a beer rich in malt character, full of caramel, toast, biscuit, and an ever so subtle roast note. On top of that, we piled in an insane amount of Citra and Columbus hops at the end of the boil, as well as in dry hopping. This damn-the-cost approach to hopping gives Heretic's Evil Twin a great blast of citrus and tropical fruit that can't be matched by any other hop. The result is a bold, malty, hoppy, but easy-drinking beer. This is our top seller, our flagship beer, and I couldn't be prouder of it. Cheers.
To find Heretic beers near you, click on Find Some at hereticbrewing.com.
The 21st Amendment. Watch out! Do you like beer? They make beer. Watch out! Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun. Watch out! Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment. Watch out! The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring Monk's Blood. Made with real monk. Watch out! So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment. Watch out! This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Are you a member of the White Labs Customer Club? If not, you should be. It's the easiest way to earn free stuff for turning in your old homebrew labels from either Vials or Pure Pitch. All you have to do is save your labels and redeem them for things like free yeast, an exclusive White Labs t-shirt or sweatshirt, and even the opportunity to brew with the yeast man himself, Chris White. Signing up is easy. Just go to whitelabs.com/customer club, fill out the registration form, and then mail in your labels. They will return the favor by sending you awesome White Labs swag. Go sign up today at whitelabs.com/customer club. White Labs, pure yeast and fermentation since 1995.
Back to the two guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. We're talking top 10 things every commercial brewery should be doing. Let's see here. For my number 4, John, I'm going with forced ferment.
Good tool.
I think so, and it is so cheap and easy to do. It's crazy that people are not doing it. So you take a container of wort, the wort that you've got in the tank, you pitch extra yeast into it, and usually after you've pitched your yeast, there's plenty left over, to dribble into like a 1 liter container or half-liter container to over-pitch that. Then you just keep it somewhere warm and you shake the daylights out of it and you keep it at like 80 degrees or whatever. Let that thing ferment out. And that's going to tell you how far your wort is going to attenuate with that yeast that you've used.
Yeah.
So if there's a problem there, so sometimes people are like, well, it's not attenuating all the way. It's like, well, how do you know that? Maybe it's attenuating differently. Maybe the wort has changed. Maybe you're upgrading your brew plant from, a 1 barrel to a 10 barrel is producing different wort. You're getting, maybe all of a sudden your temperature measurement for your wort is completely off. Maybe something happened. Maybe something got bumped or damaged or filled with water, and now it's not reading correctly. Maybe that's the issue.
Yeah.
You're not going to know because you're not doing a forced ferment test. This simple little test. And you attenuate it out, and then you can measure it, and you can say, okay, this could finish as low as, 1 Plato, Plato and a half, 2 Plato, whatever it would be.
Right. I had a situation like that just last week. Collaboration brew. The brewer never brewed it before, of course. It was my recipe. And he said, yeah, we're down at 1022. And I said, well, okay, that seems high, but let me look at my records. And sure enough, mine had been up that high at the end of fermentation and came out great. So I said, no, I think that's the number we're looking for. But, without forced fermentation, data sitting right there in front of us, we had to kind of wonder and dig up some records to figure out, are we done or not?
Right.
And
especially on a new recipe. You come up with a new recipe and you want to brew this beer, forced ferment gives you a great piece of information, costs you essentially nothing.
Right.
And but a little bit of time, and is a great tool. Now, not all your beers are going to ferment out to that extent, but it should come pretty close within a few points of that limit. Because again, we're over pitching and we're heating it up and all that. You should get the maximum attenuation possible. So maybe it comes a little short of that, but if it's way short of that, well, then there's a problem. Now you need to look at, fermentation. Now you need to look at the yeast. You need to look at, a bunch of other things. Had this one other person that we were talking to done the forced ferment test, that would tell us a lot.
Yeah.
But without that information, it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe your wort's messed up.
Yeah.
Hard to know. Again, all it takes is a little container that you can sanitize. Take collect some of the wort, pitch a bunch of yeast into it, same yeast that you're using, and then keep it warm for a couple days. It should completely ferment out.
Yeah. Just set it on the shelf.
Yeah,
there it goes.
All right, and homebrewers can do that too. The cost is almost nothing. And you just need enough to be able to get a hydrometer reading on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that brings up a good the next one, which is very similar, a wort stability test.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Again,
another excellent one.
Yeah, doesn't cost you anything. The difference here is you don't pitch your yeast.
Mm-hmm.
You just take some wort, seal it up in a sanitized vessel with an airlock, and make sure it doesn't ferment. Set it there, same conditions, warm. And this is an excellent way to know if your wort in your process is clean.
Mm-hmm.
If it starts fermenting, or if you see some activity in the airlock, or if after a week you smell it and it smells sour,
sour or cloudy,
cloudy, then you've got some issues in your brewery.
Right. Yeah. If you have clear wort and then it goes cloudy in the container, it's full of bacteria. And the way I like to do this is to take the sample off of the fermenter. So you could take multiples, like you could take one right after your heat exchanger. You could take one directly off the kettle if you wanted, after your heat exchanger, one off of the fermenter. And then, especially if you're trying to diagnose problems that you're having, if coming out of the heat exchanger it's clean and out of the fermenter it's dirty, then your fermenter cleaning regimen is not acceptable. If it's dirty out of the heat exchanger, it'll be dirty out of the fermenter, and then you know that your heat exchanger is dirty and your heat exchanger cleaning is not acceptable. If it's dirty out of the heat exchanger and clean out of the fermenter, then your sampling is questionable, or your sanitization of your containers is questionable. But cheap way to do it, and really tells you how if your process is clean or not. And if you don't have a lab and you're not plating everything out and checking everything, this is a great way to do it. Costs you almost nothing, and it really is a valuable tool. So every commercial brewery should be doing this, and I think home brewers could learn a lot from it as well. All right. Here's one that I would have thought you'd already had earlier on the list, John, which is water testing.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. That's, it's a good point. I mean, to me, that's something you do at the ingredient stage, when you're formulating the recipe but because water can change, especially if you're on a municipal water source, water testing before once a week, maybe before every batch, can be very valuable. Again, to ensure that you are brewing with the same set of factors that you did last time.
Right, consistency.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and there's great tools for this at reasonable prices. The Lamont test kits. I can vouch for those. Those are great test kits, easy to use, accurate, and very reasonably priced for the number of tests you get.
Oh yeah.
And I think commercial brewery, you should be checking your water once a week and seeing if your water's changing. If it is, then you can take some action.
Yeah, and taste it, for goodness sake.
Mm-hmm.
Tasting your water, I mean, you may detect a spike in the chlorine. You may detect an off flavor appearing, due to a water source change. So even, at its most basic, tasting your water can give you a lot of information.
Absolutely. All right. What's your next one?
Well, I think we have to go back to our yeast because, it's not beer without fermentation, right? So I'd say, viability and pitch rate testing, counting. We, as homebrewers, we talk a lot about, okay, there's 100 billion cells in this yeast package, and you put it to a starter and it makes this many yeast. Well, there's a lot of arm waving and wishful thinking associated with that. The only way to know for sure is to actually count it and test it. So you and Chris did a great job in the yeast book on describing how to do that. Maybe it's worth just covering the highlights here again.
Well, and I'm glad you brought this one up. And it's not that expensive to do. The equipment to do viability and pitch rates is relatively cheap. You can get a microscope, and you get one off of eBay. The most you're going to pay is a couple $100. There's video camera ones now that actually are good enough for a lot of the yeast counting that I think you can get for like $40 off of Amazon.
Yeah.
Then you need a hemocetometer, which is going to run you about $50 to $70. You can get them off of eBay. Just look for a hemocetometer. It's a fancy slide with little grooves and lines and grids and stuff on it that holds a precise amount. And then hemocetometer slip covers. They're a little bit bigger than slide covers. Generally, your hemocetometer will come with 5 of them or 10 of them, but you can buy a lifetime supply from China for like $6. Yeah. I've got a box of like 1,000 for $6. And then a little clicker to count with. That's handy. And then just a couple of precise containers. Graduated cylinders so that you can do your dilutions properly, and little eyedropper, some dyes, and that's it. That's all you need. That's everything. And if you're super frugal, you could probably get this done for $150. If you're less frugal or going more high end, you probably get it all done for less than $300. And it's enough to test every day for a bunch of years. You're not gonna run out. It's just all reusable, except for maybe you start breaking a couple of slide covers, or you run out of dye, and so it's cheap.
Yeah, this is a topic that everybody brings up at conferences, and I mean, I was just at the UC Brewers Guild last week or week before last, and one of the presentations was, setting up your own lab, first steps. This is always one of the things that's mentioned because it is so key to consistency and a good, strong fermentation, and it's not hard to do.
Well, and again, these folks that were having trouble with the attenuation, it's like, well, how do you know? You're imagining it's this problem, but without knowing how much yeast you actually put in there and how much was viable, you don't know. I mean, you're just guessing, and yeast viability changes, and especially if you're going to repitch yeast, you need to be doing this sort of testing. Right. It's not that expensive. It's not that difficult. After you've done it a few times, I mean, the first time will maybe take you a half hour because you're going to have to read the instructions over and over, and it's just going to take you a little bit. Maybe as much as an hour if you're slow. After you've done it a couple of times, the second time you do it, it'll take you a third of that time. It'll be like 20 minutes maybe. And then after you've done it a few times, you could do it in like 10 minutes. It'll be that quick. 10, 15 minutes tops. And it'll give you a critical piece of information that's going to make your beer a lot better. So that's a good one. Here's one that also sticks out to me was dissolved oxygen meter for wort.
Oh yeah.
So one of the things we were dealing with somebody on was they're like, well, we're doing this amount of oxygen, and it's like, could it be that much, or is it too much? Well, you don't really know because of the geometry of the fermenters, how much headspace. I mean, they can change radically from, situation to situation. White Labs did a bunch of testing at a bunch of different breweries, and there was no correlation between the amount of time and the liters per minute that they were flowing into the tanks and the dissolved oxygen in the tanks. It was completely random information, it seemed like.
Wow.
So nowadays, inexpensive DO meter that reads in parts per million, so it's not something you would use for package oxygens, because that needs to be in the parts per billion.
Right.
But parts per million, you can get a good one for, $150.
Yeah. Yeah, Lamont sells them, and real useful. It's just like the pH meter, and just turn it on and take a measurement.
Well, and these things we're saying, $100 here, $300 there. I mean, sure, that's real money, but again, what I'm saying is, as a home brewer, maybe you don't need all this stuff, because it can be kind of pricey. If you can find a good deal on it and you can get it kind of cheap, or you really want, or if you have a bunch of money and really want to take your home brew to the ultimate level, then step up for these. But if you are running a commercial brewery and you want to have any sort of respect at all for the quality of your product, and you can't pony up $150 for a DO meter, you can't pony up $150 for viability, you can't pony up $100 for a pH meter, you shouldn't be in business. And I hate to sound rude or inconsiderate, but what the hell are you running a commercial brewery if you're not doing these basic things? Yeah. It seems insane to me.
Well, you're throwing money away. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's, without a lot of these basic tools, you're going to have inconsistent brews, and you're going to have, the bad batches get through that you may feel you have no recourse but to sell. Mm-hmm. Because money's tight. Well, and that's going to tank you even further. Mm-hmm. I was just at a really nice beer conference last week, competition in Porto Alegre, Brazil. 750 entries, all commercial examples. Commercial bottles taken out of inventory. And a disturbing number were contaminated. Mm-hmm. Or just, full of diacetyl, or, just a really obnoxious off flavor that, this beer is not going to sell again. Mm-hmm. So then that's part of what got us on this particular topic, is that, if you're putting this beer out to the public, it's going to be hard to stay in business.
Right. Well, and the sum total cost of all the things that we're listing that you would have to buy is far less than the cost of one batch gone bad.
Oh yeah.
So, and no matter how small a brewery you've got, it's still more on the ingredients and time and everything than these things. And these will prevent a lot of bad batches, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and another resource is the AHA. They have a lot of great information there, and they've spawned a lot of commercial brewers over time with all the great membership information and all that. And I've been a big supporter of the AHA. I'm going to be at the conference in Portland. I know you're going to be there too, John.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And Porno Steve's going to be there.
Oh yeah, going to be there.
Hopefully he will have brewed a homebrew batch before then.
Yeah,
that's what we're thinking.
I think it's possible. Yeah.
Well, and they're running a great membership offer right now. When you join the AHA using the link on the BN Army website, you go to thebrewingnetwork.com, and there is a big AHA membership link there. And use the offer code BNARMY17, BNARMY17. You're going to get 2 free books with your membership. Brewing Local and For the Love of Hops. And I think you even get those if you renew. So go to thebrewingnetwork.com and use BNARMY17 and get those 2 free books. along with your membership. And like I said, I think it works with if you're renewing too. So, and you can renew early. You don't have to wait until your renewal is up. You can renew anytime these cool offers come by. So if you don't have those 2 books, jump on it. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, we've got 2 more in our top 10 of things that every commercial brewer should be doing right after this.
Brewing great beer is a process of continuous learning, and the best books on every aspect of brewing can be found at Brewers Publications, with more than 50 awesome titles like Modern Homebrew Recipes by Gordon Strong, Designing Great Beers, The Ultimate Guide to Brewing Classic Beer Styles by Ray Daniels, American Sour Beers, Innovative Techniques for Mixed Fermentations by Michael Tonsmeyer, For the Love of Hops, The Practical Guide to Aroma, Bitterness, and the Culture of Hops by Stan Hieronymus, and Radical Brewing, Recipes, Tales, and World-Altering Meditations in a Glass by Randy Mosher, plus many, many more. These are the books and the authors with the knowledge to push your brewing farther than you thought possible. And you'll find them all at fine homebrew and book retailers everywhere. And visit the website at brewerspublications.com. Brewers Publications, all the best on beer and brewing. Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you. And we love giving you something extra for that support, like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, there are amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and the Homebrewer's Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from the BrewingNetwork.com.
Learning to brew has never been so disgusting. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. Also wanted to tell you about our good friends at adamandeve.com. Good sponsors for a long time on this show. And if you use the offer code Jamil, Jamil, at adamandeve.com, you're going to get 50% off almost any one item that you choose and put in your cart. There's a few things that are excluded, but pretty much everything is that you're going to want to have is on that 50%. And then you're going to get 3 free adult DVDs and a free extra gift, so sensual, I really can't tell you what it is. And you're going to get free shipping. So a lot of times on these offers, you know, that you see on TV or whatever, they get you on the shipping and handling, you know, the BS charges. And then, you know, handling is like, you know, more than what you were going to save. Not in this case. Adam and Eve's a solid company, and all you're going to pay is 50% off that one item. And you're going to get the free DVDs, the free extra gift, and the free shipping. So it's a great way to try out Adam and Eve if you haven't before and get some cool stuff. Use that offer code Jamil, Jamil, at adamandeve.com today. All right, let's see here. I think you're up next.
I am. All right. Well, number 9 is volumes of CO2 measurement.
Yeah. I can't tell you the number of times I go to somebody's pub or get some beer somewhere from a smaller brewery, and one beer is dead flat, the other one's gushing out. I mean, just crazy.
Yeah. I've been there.
Yeah.
It's surprising. I mean, I guess you figure, hey, it's commercial. They're doing forced carbonation. They've programmed this in, but
no.
Yeah. How do these mistakes happen, Jamil?
Well, the biggest thing is people are used to doing something a certain way, and when you start to scale this up, a lot of times it's just not happening the same way it happens on the little size equipment you were using, where you could shake the keg and do all that other stuff.
Oh yeah.
And you can end up with zones that are not really carbonating evenly. You can end up with all sorts of different issues. So the simplest thing to do is to buy yourself. Now, they used to have the ZOM, which or they still have it, but they want like $1,200 for the thing. Well, there's another company called Taprite that has essentially the exact same thing for $300, and you can buy that. It's got a precision gauge on it. And it does, temperature and pressure. So you can check pressure and temperature on this thing. You run beer through it till it's full. Shut off the valves, take it off, shake it, look at the gauge, look at the temperature, and there's a chart on the cylinder that tells you exactly your volumes of CO2.
There you go.
Now, it's not super precision like, the $25,000 Danton Par, but it's more precise than the beers that are coming out of a lot of these places. And, I think people go, well, what's the big deal on carbonation? The thing is, the consumer, there's a lot of things they can't detect, like if the beer's well made or not, but carbonation is one of those things that they feel, they're like, oh, this is flat or this is gassy. They'll call it out every time. So it's one of those simple things that may not seem like a big deal to you, but it really is going to affect the perception of your beer in the market.
Yeah. Well, and as well, Jamil, like when you're judging in competition, you'll have that beer that's like, the beer's a little flat. Doesn't
totally
seem to have
flat.
a lot of life to it,
Yep.
or the malt, some aspect of the flavor just doesn't seem to be there.
Right.
And that can be due just to lack of carbonation.
Mm-hmm. So. Well, and when somebody presents me a flat beer for carbonation for a brewing competition, it's kind of like, well, if you can't get carbonation right, then I don't expect the rest of the beer to be that great either.
Yeah.
All right, my next one and the final one in our list of top 10 is testing for caustic and acid levels when you're cleaning. So,
okay,
a lot of people have keg washers, and the keg washers have come down in price to a point where small breweries have them, or small breweries are building their own junkyard keg washers. But what I see is people not investing in a test kit to test the strength of their caustic, the strength of their acid. So they're using these things, and what can happen when you're cleaning kegs that are filled with CO2, you have to purge out the CO2 with air first.
Oh, yeah.
And if you haven't properly purged out, and sometimes the timing can be off. We've seen it on our keg washer where sometimes it isn't fully purging the keg, and all of a sudden the caustic is killed. It's just right. The effect of the caustic goes in the dumper right away. And the only way to really know that is to test your caustic. So, and actually getting a test kit can save you money in the long run, because you won't be guessing, the caustic has gone bad. You'll know. And you can actually just add some more caustic to it. And you don't have to change it out every so often. So having that caustic test kit, having that acid test kit allows you to get full effect out of your cleaning equipment.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'll be buying extra,
right?
Or not buying enough. Yeah, and then having, inefficient cleaning,
right?
Or
right.
residual chemical, getting in there.
Well, that dirty kegs. If the caustic's for a reason, to clean out the protein that's left over in those kegs. Acid as well for, beer stone and such. If you're not doing this, your kegs aren't clean. And then you're putting your beer in there, and it doesn't matter what sanitizer you use, unless you're heating the things up, to boiling. It won't matter what sanitizer you use, because with this proteinaceous material, with this beer stone and things like that on there, the bacteria will be protected from the sheeting action of the sanitizer, and you will end up with spoiled beer. So no matter how good your beer is, you put them in dirty kegs, you're gonna end up with dirty beer going out.
Yeah.
And if you're using like a CIP cart, for cleaning your fermenters, you should be testing that as well. But yet I see so many breweries without the ability to test their caustic. It's like, trying to do surgery with your eyes closed. You need some way of testing.
Yeah. Now, these test kits are readily available probably from your chemical supplier, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where we get ours. We're just like, it's the same thing like a pool test kit, but you're testing for, certain, for the caustic ability and for the acid.
Yeah, Lamont makes those. Burgo has them. Mm-hmm. Lots of suppliers, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely worth it. Not very expensive. It will save you more money than it costs in not wasted caustic and acid. Won't be dumping it earlier. And, I think, a great way to go. I think that's a good list, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we could have done
find more, but
right.
It's a good top 10.
Yeah, I thought these are common things that we see at breweries that we visit.
Yeah,
that would improve those breweries tremendously. I mean, should we pick something else instead of one of these? I don't know. Maybe we'll refine this over time, but I think that this is a pretty solid list.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing these things,
if you want to send us, some of your top 10, feel free to do so.
Yeah, if you've got a better list, send it away, and we'll read that out to people. But absolutely, you should be doing this list. If you're not, you shouldn't be running a commercial brewery. So, look long and hard if you are not doing these things. And everybody's got excuses, but it's just not the right thing to do. All right, anything else to add, John?
No, I think that was a pretty good show.
There you go. I do too. I think if you're listening live, stick around. We got another one. We're going to do a live Q&A right after this. But all this is paid for. You get to download it through the magic of the interwebs by the good graces of our sponsors, especially Blickman Engineering. Check them out, blickmanengineering.com. And don't forget to send a feedback email to feedback@blickmanengineering.com to John Blickman himself. He gets those. And tell him how much you appreciate that he's sponsored the show for so many years. And it's not cheap to keep John and I in our own private jets. It really isn't. I mean, how else do we do all this touring around the world?
Well, the Brewing Network store is one.
The Brewing Network store probably pays for at least half of those jets. Yeah. And right now, if you go to the Brewing Network store, thebrewingnetwork.com/store, they have a giant sale on leftover turkeys from Thanksgiving.
Got some great Black Friday deals there.
25 cents a pound.
Deals, yes.
Cyber Monday. You can get a cyber turkey cheap on the Brewing Network store. Everything you buy in the Brewing Network store goes to the bottom line of the Brewing Network. It helps keep shows like this on the air. You can get yourself some hats, hoodies, various good things there, including the discounted turkeys. Until then, everybody, brew strong.
Brew strong, everyone.